Universities must lead the transition away from fossil fuels to clean energy. Today, Carolina takes another big step in that direction. I'm happy to announce that Carolina will be going beyond coal in the next decade. We will stop using coal on campus by May 2020. That was a recommendation from our Energy Task Force that I'm happy to accept as a new university policy. We are proud to be a leader in sustainability among American colleges and universities. Our systems for energy efficiency, cogeneration of electricity and steam, waste recycling, green building, mass transit, and water conservation are models. You can see our commitment to sustainability on this site. You wouldn't know to look at it, but this beautiful grassy courtyard is also the roof of the Rams Head parking deck. Rams Head Dining Hall and its programs to reduce waste and increase recycling helped Carolina Dining Services earn the highest grade given in the food and recycling category for the most recent College Sustainability Report Card. Beyond these trees is Morrison Residence Hall, which has just been selected by the Environmental Protection Agency for its national building competition because of its energy efficiency. Carolina students help pay for the solar panels on its roof that heat water for the showers. That was our first experience with an alternative energy source. Now, as we begin to wean ourselves on coal, we're about to try another alternative energy source, biomass. Energy Services will be taking the first steps toward ending our use of coal on campus this spring when they begin test co-firing coal at the cogen plant with dried wood pellets and later with torrefied wood. We are in an unusual position because our cogeneration plant has a useful life of another 30 to 40 years. It's not going to be easy to make this transition. We have challenges in making sure biomass will work in our existing boilers and challenges on the supply side as well. But we are confident we can achieve our goal in 10 years by using the same kind of creativity and ingenuity that our great Energy Services staff has used in the past to make our award-winning cogen plant one of the cleanest burning, most efficient coal plants in the country. The Energy Task Force made 5 other recommendations, all dealing with our energy supply, which the university has also accepted. I want to thank the task force, which has moved so rapidly to study the issues involved and come up with its interim recommendations. And I'm sure you join me in thanking Tim Toben for his extraordinary leadership. Tim brought a visionary and practical perspective to this issue because of his strong commitment to sustainability and his expertise in applying that in the business world. He really helped steer these conversations in a productive, consensus-building way that is a great example of how listening and dialogue can lead to progress. So to all the students, faculty, and staff serving on the task force, we appreciate all of your hard work so far, and we look forward to more conversations. And I want to thank the students of the Sierra Club's Beyond Coal campaign, who in the best Carolina tradition, pushed us to take another look at how we can do things to see if we can do better. Our guest of honor today is from the Sierra Club. Bruce Nilles is the national leader of the Beyond Coal campaign, and he came from Washington, D.C. to congratulate us in person. After Bruce, we'll hear from Tim Toben, chair of the Energy Task Force and chair of the North Carolina Energy Policy Council, and then Stewart Boss, coordinator for the Coal-Free UNC campaign and co-chair for the UNC chapter of the Sierra Club, a Sierra Student Coalition. First, we'll hear from Bruce Nilles.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. In the last month, we have seen firsthand what our current reliance on oil and coal means to the United States. We had a tragic disaster in West Virginia in the mines owned by Massey Coal. And right now, we're dealing with one of the largest ecological disasters we have ever faced, with oil lapping up along the coastline in the southern United States. It is high time for the country to realize that these fossil fuels, which in the past may have seemed cheap, are in fact coming at enormous consequence in terms of human life and in terms of ecological damage. Here in North Carolina, the cost of coal every day has profound impacts. Most every part of this state, of this great state, is going to be designated shortly by the Environmental Protection Agency as failing to meet federal air quality standards because ozone levels are so high in the summer it's unsafe for people to breathe. Much of that pollution comes from coal-fired power plants. So it is a great pleasure to be here today to celebrate the remarkable step that the university is taking to say we're going to do our part to take a big step forward and end the over-reliance, the historic reliance that the country has had on coal for energy production. This obviously wouldn't happen but for the students who began last September to lay out a vision saying, we have a major challenge we're facing, both locally on air pollution, but also a larger context of where's the coal coming from, the mountains of Appalachia, and even larger than that, that coal is the #1 contributor to global warming. And if we don't address the problem of global warming, as Dr. Jim Hansen from NASA said when he was here on campus, we're facing a major, major ecological challenge. So for the university to say it's going to do its part is a huge step forward and a real leader for campuses across this country, which today have not yet taken that step. There are approximately another 58 campuses that still burn coal that have not yet said they're going to do their part to get off of coal. And today's announcement is really the first campus in the country since last fall to say we're going to do our part. So it's an incredible honor to be here today to celebrate the announcement and the great work of the students and the leadership of the Energy Task Force headed up by Tim Toben to get to today's announcement. So thank you.
Bruce Nilles is the giant killer of big coal, so we're happy to see a smile on his face today. This is a story about a dedicated group of student activists and a pragmatic chancellor that was willing to ask the tough questions about whether this university could do more. In January, Chancellor Thorp created a task force to examine energy generation and energy use at UNC Chapel Hill in light of criticism by student activists that the university was not doing enough to achieve its carbon reduction goals. The task force includes 2 students, 3 faculty, a trustee, a local community leader, the state director of the Sierra Club, the former secretary of the North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and myself. At our launch meeting, Chancellor Thorp said to us, "I think we're doing a great job in campus sustainability, but if we can do more, and you can bring me practicable solutions, I will listen." It was clear from the membership of the task force and the mandate that this chancellor was looking for UNC to undergo a serious self-examination. Holden gave us superb administrative support, made records and energy staff available to us, provided classrooms and technical assistance for meetings, and invited us to seek expert testimony from both within and outside the university. He didn't give us much time, just 6 to 9 months, but his staff was accessible and helped us hone in quickly on 2 big opportunities. It turned out that roughly 60% of campus greenhouse gas emissions were coming from the coal-fired cogeneration plant, and 90% of all energy was consumed by buildings. We focused first on energy generation. I won't go into all of the impressive sustainability initiatives that we uncovered in our analysis, but they are listed in our interim report, which has been provided to you and is on the website. I will say that the cogen plant itself, where the coal is burned, is a state and national model of combined heat and power efficiency, with a 70% efficiency rating as compared to 35 to 38% rating of electricity-only coal plants in North Carolina. Instead of heat being wasted, the energy system uses the steam that turns the turbines to sterilize equipment in the hospital, to clean dishes in the food services area, and to heat buildings. But we concurred with internal and outside experts that our primary fuel source, coal, was a long-term liability to UNC that faced increased federal and state regulation due to its threats to human health and the environment. Those regulations will eventually drive up the cost. For that reason, we recommended the actions that the Chancellor adopted. This was a model to find a practical solution to a vexing problem for our entire society. Like the students who sought a cessation of coal use by 2015, many in our society want immediate action. Like the big electric utilities, the facilities managers at UNC have a mandate to provide energy, steam, and chilled water on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Until the cost of the negative externalities are assigned to coal, it is difficult to justify an alternative. But those costs are beginning to be assigned by the EPA, and we identified, with the help of the UNC Energy Management Group, viable alternatives to replace coal. Credit goes to the Chancellor. the students, and the Sierra Club for a productive and collaborative effort that resulted in an ambitious but pragmatic outcome. On Sunday, I had an email exchange with Jim Hansen, the NASA climate scientist. Jim visited UNC in February. He's on a flight today, actually, to Paris with his children and grandchildren, or he would be here. He did want me to pass along this comment. UNC Chapel Hill is a model for how students and a university can work together with a civil, constructive approach to ending our national addiction to coal. It is good to see a university demonstrating the rational approach to problem solving. We need to somehow overcome the uncivil discourse that has infected current national politics. And finally, something personal that I'd like to dedicate to the Chancellor and to our student representative, Stewart Boss. Last night, I was putting my 4.5-year-old daughter, Kaya, to bed, and she asked for a bedtime story. So we couldn't put our hands on Horton Hears the Who, so we instead defaulted to the Lorax. When I got to the end, I thought of both Stewart and the Chancellor, and I said to Kaya, you know, I think I'm going to read this conclusion tomorrow to the Chancellor. And she said, do it, Dad, do it. So on behalf of my daughter, who will be a member of the coal-free UNC class of 2026, I dedicate this to Holden and to Stewart, direct from the thorax. But now, says the Chancellor, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.
Global climate change, caused in large part by burning coal, is what Dr. James Hansen has referred to as an issue of intergenerational injustice. The debate over how to move to a clean energy future will be most important to today's youth because it is our future that is at stake. I want to thank our broad coalition of alumni, faculty, students, and community leaders for their consistent support over the last year. And I especially want to thank the core group of extraordinarily dedicated students who I've worked with on the campaign to move UNC beyond coal. Without your hard work, none of this could have been possible. I would also like to commend Chancellor Thorp and other UNC administrators for listening to our concerns. We have been fortunate to work with a university that has been responsive, open-minded, and willing to hear our story. I want to thank Chancellor Thorp for establishing the Energy Task Force and deciding to accept its recommendations to commit UNC to stop burning coal. We look forward to supporting the university's effort to phase out coal as soon as possible. My hope is that today's announcement will serve as encouragement for the thousands of students who have been engaged in similar efforts on college campuses nationwide. The fight to stop burning dirty coal is absolutely necessary to preserving our mountains, our health, and our future. And today shows that we have what it takes to win. Our universities should be at the forefront of developing clean energy technologies and preparing students to be clean energy leaders. I hope other universities will soon follow UNC's lead in moving beyond coal.